Everyone, welcome to episode 12 of the After Zero podcast. Last week we ended a little abruptly, but this week hopefully we don't have any tech issues. And hopefully the microphones and the cameras
Yeah,
all
how you
look a
doing
little
over there,
better.
Sean?
Yeah, I can't help when the service provider just decides to quit on me like that.
Always someone else's fault, Sean, just like Overwatch.
No, it's like, when are you going to look inward? You know what I mean? When is
Right.
accountability going to happen?
Inward at Cox. I mean, you work there, so...
Whoa, why are you doxing me? Why are you doxing me?
Yeah, why are you doxing?
Get your company in line.
I mean,
What's
here's
up?
the thing. It's like, 99.9% of the footprint intact, 0.001 or whatever percent you are not intact. It sounds like a skill issue to me.
A skill issue with internet.
Speaking of dogs, WoW getting doxed.
Oh, is that a thing?
Did you guys, wait, you weren't on when we were playing today, huh?
Yeah.
No, what happened with that?
Yeah, it was just constant disconnecting and everyone talking about Blizzard getting doxed. And
Yeah.
Blizzard did
really?
an emergency update and like didn't give a time on when it'd be back up or anything.
They did a whole service shutdown restart.
Yeah.
Like they were
What time was
rebooting
that
the
at?
internet.
PST.
5 hours ago, I think.
Yeah.
I think say somewhere around that time.
Damn,
like-
so right before I got on.
Yeah, literally.
Like literally right
Okay.
before you got on.
It wasn't down
That
that
sounds-
long, but it was just like no matter where you were, everyone was getting disconnected.
Yeah.
So
I
A
feel
little
like-
ridiculous.
yeah, good times.
I mean, it goes to show that even like the biggest companies can't always have their servers up and running 24/7. So I guess
Yeah.
it's not the worst thing in the world.
Even though the
company's-
expectation is like you have all this money, what the fuck?
You know what? And servers crash just the same. Every major that's my thing. Like every major service provider for every internet, like it crashes at some point. Like Spectrum, Xfinity, all those whatever.
Technology,
Comcast.
like, just how it
Yeah.
is.
Like,
I mean, look at day 1 and 2 of Overwatch 2. Just DDoS attacks.
oh, I
and
mean,
I mean, that's just like any game release. You know what I mean? Like
everybody
most game releases, especially when it's like built up like it is, when you like have that many people coming onto the server, there's no way to honestly properly test it. Even though Blizzard had 8 expansions or some shit now.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
still,
they've been in the
it's
game
like-
for a long time. They know how to combat it, but at the same time, sometimes there's just nothing you can do, and
Actually,
it is what it is. And
I'm actually wondering now, like, has Riot, like, what was Valorant launch like? I don't actually remember.
So they didn't have any issues as far as I remember with DDoS attacks or anything like that, but they did have like server crashing and stuff like that from the mass amount of people that were logging into the game. I do remember that being an issue. There wasn't any like disconnects though, like Overwatch had, where you would get into a game and then you were just getting disconnected mid game, and then getting banned for it.
I mean, I don't know of very many like Riot instances, especially as of late, where they've had issues with servers. Even like with the Valorant one, I don't remember it being an issue like that.
Or even
Yeah.
League, really. But I mean, I know none of us have really played League much lately, but I haven't like heard anything. Like usually, that stuff gets blown out of proportion. So it'll be interesting when they launch their MMO.
The launching of games actually brings me to what I kind of want to bring up today too, because we've seen a bunch of new titles come out, like Sonic Frontiers and some other ones. One of the most notable ones is Pokemon Violet, and what's the other?
Scarlet.
Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, what colors are we on right now? I forget.
Yeah, like what fucking emerald fucking.
What kind of equipment are we talking about here? Sword and shields?
We're on Sigma Green and Delta Blue.
Yeah, so. And you're wearing beta green right now, but anyway, I'm just kidding.
Wait a minute, hold on, it's the same color green.
No, it's not. You're colorblind. You can't even fucking tell.
That's just the lighting. That's
two episodes in a row where Sean just gets fucked on for being an Eagles.
Just the lighting.
No, but in all seriousness, like Pokemon Violet and Scarlet have released, and game launches have been pretty poor lately. I know we're like giving Riot their kudos, but it seems like the bar for developers is just so weird and low, and at the same time, it almost feels like there's no way for you to do it right. Like no matter what you do, there's going to be complaints, and I don't know what the threshold is or the line for like what bugs are acceptable. Because I mean, even the most popular titles, our favorite games we can think of, they were riddled with bugs.
Yeah.
And just it was one of those things that you just had to deal with it. It almost feels like now, because you can patch it, that's just like what people want. Like they just instantly want to patch. They don't want to have to worry. Like they don't want to have to deal with any bugs or run into them, and it almost comes off
And
that developers can't make mistakes.
yeah, I was about to say that. Like, it's hard to, especially when you're on the cesspool that is the internet, and it's like one error is like just monumental to some people, or people that hate the game will blast the error out of proportions. Just things like that. Even if the launch isn't as bad, or really if the launch really isn't bad, there's something to complain about that people are just always going to be looking for because it's the internet.
Well, I think the funny thing is with like today's day and age is like you have a bunch of people that are expecting it to be perfect immediately,
Yeah.
right? And they have this short memory of what they remember as a kid experiencing, and even those games have bugs. The only difference is they never got patched.
Yeah.
Those games never got supported post launch.
Well,
it was just like the bugs in the game. That's it. Like it's
I
there.
think a good one with that is like, well, this game did get patched because it was WoW, right? Like when WoW first came out, like the random fall damage that you would take in the game, the long ass queue times. It's like people don't remember
dude,
that at all being a thing.
No, dude. The absolute gem, the greatest glitch of all time. The fucking plague that was passed around from Zul'Grub.
The one
was it Zul'Grub or what was it?
It was from ZG.
The one that real scientists studied.
Yes,
yeah, they were like
for pandemic studies.
Experts.
Yeah,
like the whole COVID shit was based around a Zul'Grub study in a WoW server, essentially.
Yeah,
but like the golden fucking example would be that for me. And it's like one of those things of it was just cool and it's so fun, and when people look back on it now, everyone's like, wow, that was sick. What a cool time, At the time, everyone's like fucking freaking out because, it's like that fucking dog where the house is on fire. He's like, this is fine. It's a lot like that. But it just seems like now, like, I think people do expect perfection. If a game isn't perfect, then people just say it's not good, which I feel like is like downplays everything developers go through. And I mean, now mind you, there are like really bad games out there. Like some of the clips I've seen from Violet and Scarlet are like fucking atrocious. Like some of the clips of them throwing a ball, the whole like world disappears, the Pokemon reappears, and like it's so bad.
So, the one video I saw was just a short clip. It was just like they're like in a classroom and from the teacher's perspective, and like the kids are kicking their feet under the desk, and it's just like skipping frames of like their legs kicking underneath the desk. It's just like, what am I looking at? Like, this was released.
One of the clips I saw, because you know how the weather in the game changes rapidly.
Okay.
I don't know when the last time is you guys played any of them, but it's kind of open worldish. So there was a Pokemon that was caught in like this wind and like hurricane storm, right? And he went to run up to like start the engagement with the Pokemon, right, to start battling it, and it just blew away. Like across the screen. I'll have to link it to you on Twitter.
Is that not game design though? Like
it is really
no. That's the soul of the game, Sean. That's the soul of the game.
Hold on. I'll send it to both of you. That way you have it so you can see it.
But my absolute favorite from all this is the one that people found, where if you use two Nintendo controllers and hold forward on them, you get double speed.
Oh,
that's like my favorite one.
That's sick. Like, yo, leave that one in.
But what's funny is like the running animation to me looks so much better when they did it. Like the 2 times speed, like kind of glided better to me. So like people are legit getting 2 controllers. They're pushing both thumbsticks up at the same time, and it legit makes them go double.
That's what all speedrunners want, right there.
that's gonna be the strat for this game to speedrun it. Is they're like, all right, he's plugging in the second controller.
Yeah. The double sticks.
Yeah, right here he's using the double stick method here.
Check that clip when you get a chance. It's hilarious.
I mean, we'll probably watch it after the pod.
Yeah, I was saying after the podcast, we'll definitely.
I was just saying you can even bring it up.
but yeah, it's just like. Some of the shit of like with that of it disappearing, I feel like it's just Game Freak is the same people who've made Pokemon games since Pokemon Red, like the OGs. And they're just like they haven't done anything besides make Pokemon games. And Pokemon games like require like this much development because they're the same game since like 1990 or whatever the fuck. And so they are pretty bad to me, like from what I see and from every other account.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is like I haven't touched them in a while, but it's like when I see a new Pokemon game coming out and I see like when you see trailers and stuff for a new game or gameplay, it's like there's something like new that usually draws you in or something nostalgic, and it's like it seems like Pokemon to me seems like it's all nostalgia. Like I really don't see many differences when I'm seeing
So,
clips and things of that nature.
It's
I know
nostalgia and
you
it's
played them
loyalty
some,
to
so
it's nostalgia and loyalty to the brand, I feel like.
yeah, and I mean, like, it just gives you a new environment to go and catch Pokemon, whether they're new, good design, bad design, whatever the hell, right? If people enjoy the gameplay loop, they enjoy the gameplay loop. Um, but they did try to innovate on some of the movement systems and the actual, kind of third person camera, and it kind of being more like Pokemon Arceus, where it was open world. You see Pokemon in the environment instead of just having a random encounter. So I do believe that some of that is, like you said, it's kind of growing pains where they've been making this top down 2-dimensional game for so long that as soon as they broke out of that into a 3D environment, now they have all of these bugs because that's not where their area of expertise was. So I just think that it's quite funny, the bugs that are out. Like, I didn't know about the double speed. But like seeing just Pokemon get like lifted and shot across the map or drop through the terrain, or whatever the hell
those
it
sound
is
like
that
special
happens.
abilities to me. I don't know what you're
That
talking
just
about.
that
Well,
just
I
sounds
mean-
hilarious.
I mean, for me, I don't get me wrong, I do bring that up, but I don't think it's a bad thing for them to try to be innovative. But I can just see why it didn't go over well. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
when you've made the same game and you basically are making the same Call of Duty, to me, like, they're pretty equivalent as far as like how they go about developing shit.
yeah,
So kudos to them for stepping outside of their comfort zone, outside the box.
yeah. Call of Duty's
But
like, are we sliding or dolphin diving?
I was gonna say,
But this one's
you
got
gotta
both.
think about the new
Well,
Warzone.
no. I'll say before we get into that though, because I feel like that's a whole fucking deep dive. I think that with the whole Pokemon thing, I think that it's hard to break out of that shell. Like I said, so I do applaud them. But the problem to me, part of it is like, it's like the system that it's on. People applaud Breath of the Wild for being a great adventure game, but that game is empty just as much as Arceus and just as much as Violet and Scarlet are. And it's because they're limited by the system they're on. And it's just like, I feel like if they want to make a good 3D game, they need to do it on a different system.
You said it's
But that's just
an
not
empty
how
game.
Nintendo
Is that an agreeable opinion? I never played Breath of the Wild, so
So
I
I
think
just,
it's an
know I
empty
hear
game.
nothing but good things about Breath of the Wild, and people
Like-
love the game for everything that's in it.
like for a Nintendo Legend of Zelda game, yeah, I think it's a good one. Is there empty portions of the world that
you
feel
guys
lifeless?
Just make it
Yeah,
you just make it sound like the bar for this game isn't that high.
It is lower though. That's the thing, because it's a Nintendo game. If you stack up,
I was just about to say that.
up this against God of War or any other like Horizon Zero Dawn, these AAA titles on like an actual console, they get fucking blown out of the water when you stack them up like that. The nostalgia and the what, Sean?
What, you good, Sean? Can you hear us?
My man.
Oh God.
Oh God. Here we go again. You can't hear?
Did your headphones die?
Imagine his headphones just broke, bro. Can we get a fucking fund? We might just start a GoFundMe. Get this guy
He
some
probably
fucking
doesn't even know
better
there's chat in here,
equipment.
even though I just put a thing in the chat.
Right? Oh man. Chat.
Nothing's responding.
Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
I can't hear anything.
We can hear you.
You can hear me?
The chat.
Okay.
The chat.
There.
Oh my God.
Like my mouse isn't moving at all.
Oh my God. His computers are shutting down.
Dude. All right, for everyone at home, we're gonna start a GoFundMe. All right, we need to get him better equipment. I don't know, better internet, a different house.
What it is,
new
get off the Razer
headphones.
shit. Get off the
Yeah,
Razer
and
shit.
this is exactly why we do not condone Razer products. It's built for gamers by gamers, allegedly, but I feel like it's made for Ragers by Ragers because everything's meant to break. It's a little different.
And it works. It fits perfectly with Sean.
And as we watch this, we'll watch the progression of a man lose his wits. You know what I mean? He's gonna just get closer and closer to his wits' end.
Honestly,
until the rage happens.
This is the whole podcast now. Just watching Sean troubleshoot his computer.
It's just like the allegory of Sean. It's just him watching.
Look at his face. Look at his face.
Oh, we're leaving this in too. Like, this definitely is not getting
I'm so
cut.
down.
So good.
I'm so
It's
down.
so good. And it's also like look at him like try not to lose it
Yeah.
at the same time.
I'm just waiting for the pop off.
Yeah, like the slam, the yell that we know it's incoming.
The hands went in the air first.
Right.
There's
There's the sigh.
Okay.
It's so good because we can hear him. So it's like the tea. It's like watching a tea kettle, just waiting for it.
It sounds like
boil over.
it really is his computer. Then if we can still hear him, like
yeah, I don't know.
It's definitely
dude.
user side.
So for any of you wondering, we're using Riverside.fm. It's a app on Google Chrome. It's not really an app; it's just a website. It allows you to host and do like different video and audio channels.
First
And
time
Sean
trying it
couldn't
with
even
Sean.
join. Yeah, Sean couldn't join today because his computer was taking a massive shit.
Well, we did it with Victor before just fine. Or was it Brandon?
Yeah,
Victor
we've done it with Victor and Brandon. We've done it with both of them, and it seemed to be fine. But of course, you throw Sean in the mix, and this is kind of just what happens. So it's for our enjoyment. This is actually the best part of the podcast.
I wonder if our faces are still on his screen so he can see.
Yeah, I think he can still see us from what he said. It's just unresponsive.
No, I'm saying if we tabbed over so he doesn't see our faces anymore.
Oh, I don't know.
Checking the side.
Okay. Anyway, we'll include it if he rages, but we'll probably skip forward after this. So.
Oh! He looked at the camera. Oh, looking to the side. Check the plugs. Yeah. Tech support.
Well, you gotta make his window big so you can see the whole wide angle too. If you make it big, it'll do that. I feel like I shouldn't have it keep recording though, because it's just such a waste. But fuck it. Hi, Sean. Are you back?
Okay, Hello? We're back.
Can you hear us?
Hi, honey. Welcome back.
Hey, there we go.
Look at that. Hey, there we go, boys.
Sean.
Everyone give him a round of applause.
Dude.
Woo!
Dude, I was just sitting here listening, and then all of a sudden, all of my audio cut, and I couldn't move my mouse. Nothing.
So
Nothing
did you
was
unplug
working.
your mouse in your headphone, with your leg or something?
Unplugged. No, nothing. All the connections are run through the back side of my desk and into the back of my computer. So
we were definitely chilling, waiting for you to rage. We were like, "Oh, he sighed.
Yeah,
he threw his hands up."
We were like basically hoping that would happen. But we'll just pick up right where we left off, which is I think these games do have a lower threshold. It takes less to satisfy Nintendo fans because they are casuals. Like, think of Smash. Smash is like a casual guys fighting game.
You're gonna piss off a whole community right now.
I don't give a fuck. I'm just talking about if you look at the people who play Smash casually. Competitive gamers are always competitive gamers, right? But the people who play Smash casually are generally casual gamers.
Yeah,
it's like a party style game. It's a lot more casual.
It's a party
I'd say
game.
You want to play
game,
Tekken?
guys.
Yeah, I'm there honestly. But at a competitive level, it's going to be fighting. But I think that there's not other things to compare it against. Like, what other RPGs are going to compare it against? Maybe Super Mario Odyssey, but I don't even think that's an RPG. That's more just a platformer. So
I think that's kind of Nintendo's whole thing, right? Is that you're not gonna get this graphically intense game. You're gonna get fun, engaging gameplay. It's not gonna be too complex, but it's also not gonna be the easiest thing you play, right? But it's going to be easy to get into, easy access. It's not going to be something super complex, but the gameplay is going to be good.
And also they just I think they just lose people if they try to really change Mario or Sonic, any of these games. If they really try to change them from what they are and the style that they have, then it's just you're trying to go for a whole nother fan base at that point.
Yeah, I think if you put Mario in Unreal Engine 5, it's going to look a little weird.
Personally, the games really aren't for me.
Highly disagree.
Seen it.
Because
I've seen
Because the difference between Unreal Engine 5 and whatever the fuck they're running now is the graphic fidelity, so to speak, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the art direction will remain the same. The general look of the game will look the same. The textures will just actually be good. That's not a bad thing, but I do understand where you're coming from. I think I can agree with that point that having it on a more Xbox or PlayStation type of system or even PC would take the crowd away from it a little bit. But I think that these games would be better with it having the option to be able to support some of the things they're trying to do, because trying to make a full third person immersive open world game on a fucking Switch is just not the move.
Well, I think that's their thing too, right? Is like, okay, PlayStation 5 and Xbox One Series X, right, are both, $500 consoles, right? Plus tax, plus whatever peripherals wise, right? So they're still trying to keep that whole ease of entry as far as like price goes, right?
I
Of
think they keep the
being
illusion of ease
cheaper.
of entry,
But
sure.
but I'm saying that's their whole thing, right? Is like they're lower cost to get into, lower cost in game, lower cost in everything, lower cost in graphics, lower
Well,
cost in running a game at 30 frames per second, right? Like it's that's their thing. Is it's not supposed to be this high end competitive atmosphere, like
well, I mean, do these games also have like longevity in them? Because it feels like a lot of them are just like start to finish, and that's all the game is.
I mean, it's single player campaign. I mean, you have some online functionality that they've added over the years, as far as like some of the wild zones and stuff like that, where they run events and you see other players, kind of like an MMO a little bit, while you're instanced into that area. They do have that in like community areas and stuff that they've added throughout the years, but
So
it's mainly for trading and doing Pokemon
they
battles
they,
and
they
stuff
really
like
hold
that.
true to like the old like traditional gaming and how it was then.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very, very much so, which is why Jared said what he said earlier about it feeling boring and kind of the same run of the mill thing.
Well,
Right.
I think for me, it's not even. I don't even like dislike the games. Like I think Breath of the Wild is a great game, but I think that it just isn't held to a high standard, and that because it has like such hardcore like Nintendo fanboys, that they will just rate the game so high. I don't even think some of the interactions are even like game breaking or that crazy or
That's because they're
like,
not.
but they're just new to like Nintendo. It's kind of like when Android comes out with a feature on a phone, and then 5 years later, Apple does it, and everyone's like, "Holy shit! What the
Yeah.
fuck? This is a feature!" And Android's like, "That's a 5-year-old feature." That's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of what it feels like to me. Um, so it's just I would
I
just
think I can see that.
love to
Yeah.
see the opportunity for an actual good studio to pick it up and like put it on something good and just see what they do with it. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like it
I,
would
I
just
don't
be
think
cool to see.
I don't think any of us have played it here, but I mean, I hear nothing but good things about Sonic Frontiers, and like even that's being considered for game of the year. So I mean, have you guys looked at
I
anything
think
on
the
that?
last I think the last Sonic game I played was on like GameCube or something like that. I don't know. It was
I think the
forever
last
ago.
one I played was someone with Shadow in it. I
Shadow
don't
in it.
So
remember.
Yeah,
so
that's the
none of
last
us
one I
are really
remember.
like into Nintendo games. Is what all this is coming down to.
I
It
honestly think
just the
that they're
specific
casual
ones.
style games. Like to me, I
Yeah.
truly think that they're
It's
casual style games.
it's really
We're
Smash
we're we're
and
we're, we're
like
we're too competitive for all that.
it's really Smash and Pokemon for me. That's about it.
I I don't know. It's not even that it's not even competitive games. It's just that like again the threshold for single player games. Like if I just like compare
Like
a game
Spider Man,
against that,
Spider Man,
like
and that
Spider Man exactly, right? Spider Man. I mean, even Jedi Fallen Order. I know I gave it some shit the last time I played it, but I don't even see a universe where it competes. And then when I played Breath of
Yeah.
the Wild, the whole time I'm just like, yeah, I could just be playing like Metal Gear Solid. I know those don't seem like they're similar, but in every aspect, I'm like, yeah, imagine if like Konami made this game, it'd be really good. You know, like
Nintendo just doesn't have the style and like the gameplay that pulls people like us into it.
I don't think that their goal is to either like kind of like we talked about. They have a certain market, like a niche that they like orient their games towards, and it works. But you'll never be like see me be like, oh yeah, that's game of the year, dude. That's and I'm just like,
Like I still can't wait for us
is
to,
it?
or like I can't wait to play through the two God of War games or even do the multiplayer in Elden Ring. Like I'm actually looking forward to do that stuff. Even
Yeah,
though
even like Elden Ring. I give Elden Ring so much shit, but when I look at Elden Ring versus like that game, I'm like, dude, Elden Ring is so well made. Like it's so well made.
and it just seems like there's more stuff in it in general.
Yeah,
Even
well,
for
they're
face
actually able to
value.
like fill the world and like make a world
Not again,
as a whole.
Sean. Not again.
Oh God, did it? Hey, let's put down in the comments now. Is it going to be over or under 5 technical issues today? If we count the one before the podcast, it's 3. We count during the podcast, it's 2, and there we go. The look of disappointment. And
all right, we're back.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, there he is.
Welcome back, Sean. Glad you could join us.
There we go.
I don't know what's happening with the audio. Just kidding.
So, what are your opinions on Razer product, Sean?
It's not even a Razer product. This is HyperX. Blame them.
Wait. Your mouse is a Razer, though, right?
No, my mouse is Logitech.
Oh, it just knows bad.
It doesn't like to play with bad people. That's all it really is. It's like it basically treats his Razer products like that kid on the playground who keeps like sneezing on people and has really bad allergies.
I don't know.
No one wants to play with them.
I think it could be something else.
What do you think?
Like what?
I don't know. This thing called Riverside.
Oh my god!
I didn't have any issues with anything else up until this.
Okay, but here's the thing: whenever we always like use something that's new to you, you always have issues, but no one else does.
It's the boomer and Sean coming out.
What's the common denominator in those things? And it's always you. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the common denominator is it runs and works on everything else but this. So
I say that as I kick my computer and I accidentally unplug my monitor. So
I don't know. Do I think this is cool? Yeah, I'm just saying. It runs and works and everything else, and I'm all of a sudden having this, and we just made this change.
As I mentioned previously, look inward. You can bitch about things when you pitch in. Anyway, with that being said, though, yeah, I think we all can agree. Like the threshold or the standards are lower for Nintendo games. They're more meant to just be like fun games you can just pick up and like have a blast with or play with your friends. Mm-hmm. And PlayStation, Xbox like push storytelling and visuals and graphics. I just said visuals, but you know what I mean. Audio design, things like that. But we kind of talked about earlier, and I kind of want to jump back to it, was like Call of Duty and its release. And
wait, are you still good, Sean? I just saw you like make a face.
It was trying to prompt me to restart Google Chrome because I was trying to turn off hardware acceleration. So I was like, all right, fuck that. That's stupid.
Anyway, with Call of Duty, there's like it's a weird space right now where you kind of have. At first, we talked about like the skill-based matchmaking, where people were divided on if their side's skill-based matchmaking or not. But now it's turned into like the movement mechanics because you have these people doing these weird ass fucking dolphin dive shit. It's like some weird dolphin cancel.
So how does it work? Like, does it look like you're diving, but you're actually standing, or what are we talking about?
It looks like you're floating in midair.
It's so stupid. I can't even begin to explain how it looks. It's like you're slide canceling, but you're just like. It's just around the map the entire time like this, and your character's just fucking humping the ground constantly.
It's not even just that. It's like when you go, like, let's say there's 2 ledges, right? And you want to go from point A to point B, a regular jump would never make it. You probably only make it halfway. With this weird dolphin dive cancel bullshit, you, like, cancel your crouch and you dolphin dive and you get across it. So you're, like, in the air way longer than you should ever be, and there's no gravity. So it just looks so strange.
I was gonna say, is it causing an issue because people see it as like being out of place in the game? Because a lot of movement and like tech that's found out in games look natural in the game, but you're saying this doesn't look natural in the game.
Hell no, this is floating across the ground.
It looks clunky and floaty in a really bad way. Like I think of Apex and it's like tap strafing. Tap strafing looks pretty natural in the game because of the way your character moves through the air and then like the speed of the game and other things you can do. Mm-hmm. It makes sense. But for this, it looks so clunky and it looks so bad. But I get it because there's not a lot of mechanics in Call of Duty.
I was gonna say that's Call of Duty pushing the edge. You guys just aren't ready for that. You guys aren't there yet. You guys expected the same old Call of Duty, but now you got flying fucking soldiers. What are you gonna do about it?
I can't.
I don't know about all that. I do not know about all of that.
I mean, Call of Duty is another one I don't really keep up with. Them. I mean, the last one I played was Warzone, and that. 1, it's a battle royale, which instantly is a negative for me, and 2, it's Call of Duty, which I haven't been a fan of for, I don't know, since I was like 10 or 16 or whatever. So
yeah, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the original, not this one, like 10 years ago. Yeah.
It's just not. This whole we need movement tech in games. It's like
not to mention they're like a sports game releasing a new Call of Duty every year or 2 years. So I mean,
right, and it's like it doesn't even look natural. Like, at least that slide canceling in like Warzone 1, like I hated it. I thought it was stupid seeing everybody fucking slide on their knees every 2 seconds. But like, it at least looked normal. This is the dumbest shit I've seen.
Well, like
Movement tech
you see
wise,
baseball
in
players slide
years.
cancel all the time in the MLB.
My
You know what I
fucking
mean?
God.
So no, I'm like dead serious. You can legitimately
Well,
slide cancel.
Well, I think
Right?
one to compare it to is like drop shotting, right? Because drop shotting, I think, pushes on the thing of like it looking natural and not at the same time.
You had kids trying to do it in airsoft and stuff like that. It was really funny.
What did that look like?
Dude, just people belly flopping on the fucking ground.
This is what's wrong when you tell people to touch grass. They don't know how.
they
so do shit like this.
They're like, wait, how did I do it in Call of Duty? Oh yeah, hold on, let me. Oh, there we go.
Dude, seriously, like diving into the ground and like breaking their guns and shit. I've seen.
Dude, he picks up one of those little airsoft grenades. He's like, "Throw a granada!" Like all he knows is Call of Duty. No, but I mean, I think the thing with it is it's not natural. It doesn't look good. It doesn't match the pace of the game. But that just goes to show you of why Call of Duty has like an intrinsic issue now is because they've made the same game for over 10 years, and people are itching so bad for new things to learn and new ways to play the game that they'll accept this clunky, ugly ass fucking movement and be like, "It's movement tech. Look at Titanfall. Titanfall looks smooth. Like, what are you talking about?"
It's not even in like a good comparison. It's just this is stupid looking.
Dude,
like,
it's to the point, Quakers, where you can jump out of an airplane, and if you dolphin dive and hit the side of a ladder, it'll stop your fall damage, and you just hit the ground normally. So you essentially Captain America the fucking ground like you're a goddamn super soldier, right? And then people are like, movement tech. And
Wait, did you guys not see that patch? I saw that patch when it came out. That's what the devs were intending for. So I mean,
it's just shit like that. Like it doesn't make sense, right? If I'm playing like WoW and I like heroic leap onto something, it makes sense that my fall damage is broken. But when I play fucking Call of Duty and I'm like supposed to be parachuting and I fucking jump into like I fucking dive bomb into a ladder and I hit the ground and I'm just fine. It's completely silly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are you watching
absolutely
something, Sean?
So bad.
No, I was trying to find a clip of it to send Jared, but
Oh.
I'm sure he could do it the same way. Probably find a better clip
Dude,
than me.
it's so bad, and it's like I said, it just shows that people are itching for something like new in the game. They're itching for something new to learn, some new gameplay aspects.
Well, I think those boundaries are always being, pressed, especially because like even the casuals nowadays they're more competitive than like back then. So a lot of things weren't discovered back then, and like
Based on what?
Based on skill level, like really just not even feel. Look at the skill level of players. Like when you're a new player before had a better chance than a new player now, 100%.
Yeah,
I mean, you could make that argument with a lot of things. Like a new person throwing javelin back in like BC, you know what I'm saying? You had better chances then of throwing javelin. Now there's less people. Like they know more about it now.
But this speaks into the same thing because it's like it's no different than once you see something is achievable, you then do that because that becomes the standard, and now you're pushing the boundaries more and more. So
I don't know if it makes them more.
If you make
I get where you're coming from.
Like literally, it's no different than Apex. Like the tech in Apex, right? Like the casual Go player may be able to do the tech. They may not have the mechanical skill that a pro does, and the follow up that a pro does, but they still work on that tech to do it. Like we're in gold ourselves, and some of us can do the tech, right? And if it wasn't discovered, none of us would have done it.
Who's in gold?
Okay, platinum, whatever you guys want to call your rank. Like you get what I'm saying though. Like the standards are a lot higher nowadays than they were back then.
I guess I see where you're coming from.
That's why I said
I think it's just ease of access to information, so people see it.
Oh, sure.
On a broader scale.
That definitely has a impact on it for sure.
I wouldn't say they're more competitive. They're the same, just in a new state of the game. That's what I'm more getting at.
Well, I'd say it's more competitive because of the highlight that is put on the games now, because of streaming and so forth like that, and the chance of you popping off because of the access that Sean's talking about, that everyone has. Teams are constantly looking for people and things of that nature.
But then I think of like MW2, and you'd go into a random Rust game, and these kids are just like trying to fucking spin around and like trick shot you, and they definitely don't have a YouTube channel. They definitely don't hit a shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh no, you still got those. You still got those.
Face Clan, and they just fucking miss the whole time. They go like 0-50.
I'll be there one day.
Yeah. No, but I definitely see where you're coming from. I just they're more competitive. Will they beat like the normies of?
Look, you want to bring up the
sure.
This is working toward the conversation of LeBron and Jordan. You know.
Oh my god!
What comparison are we making?
That you can't compare eras. Period with anything. It's impossible.
No, Jordan will win 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a basketball fan, so I'm not looking to talk about it.
It's just such a bad topic for any conversation on anything.
No side can prove anything.
Well, I mean, hypothetically, it's like, all right, you already lost. You just spoke in hypothetical. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I just hate like that thought of like always comparing shit to other things in that manner. Like, it's completely different. The environment's completely different. The rules are different.
Stuff like that.
Even in like esports, like we're gonna get to that point because like Faker's still the GOAT now. But like, watch in like a year or two, there's gonna be some. They're gonna be like, "Oh my god, Faker would dumpster this kid." It's like, no, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. That's the thing, guys. Because the players of today are better than the players of yesteryear, and you got to get over it. It's fine.
I mean,
it's just like.
Oh wait, what was that, Sean? What's your thoughts?
He doesn't agree. He doesn't agree. He's a boomer.
No, I'm interested though. Like, not specifically at those situations. Just your thoughts on.
It's the level of play is going to go up over the years. That's just how things go, right? But expecting that those people in their primes to not be able to play at those levels, I think is just not the right assessment. I think that if you're great at one point in time, if you were able to stay that same physical shape, same age, that same conditioning, that you would still be great in the current era.
Do you notice how we instantly go back into hypotheticals?
But that's what I'm saying.
I know what Sean's talking about because he's saying like they have the skill to adapt now, and you're like taking away the like you're saying that they wouldn't be able to adapt then.
Adapt to later on. Like if they were able to adapt in that day and age to be great, they would be able to adapt in today's day and age and be great. That's what I personally believe.
I mean, sure, you could make that case, but there's tons of players who can't adapt to a game. I get what you're saying, but like, it's such a different skill set as games progress. Whether you're talking about like sports or even like esports, games will always progress and change, and the skill set and the way you have to changes as well. So I don't think it's easy to just say like, oh, like they adapted then, they can adapt now.
I'm purely talking from a sports, right? Because like there's people that are good in one rendition of a game. There's people that were really good at Call of Duty 4 that sucked at Modern Warfare 2.
I think this is.
I think that video games is a different atmosphere for that. Whereas like actual physical sports, there's a level of athleticism that those pure athletes have that they would be able to adapt to a situation in their game at a different day and age.
I actually think those are similar, but this makes me want to ask you guys about like a developer philosophy and like the developers controlling the meta instead of like the players controlling the meta. So it's I
think that's stupid. I fucking hate that.
But
the developers controlling the meta, like making changes in a game instead of just letting the player base develop.
Well, I mean, so what if
it all comes from like a balancing issue?
Yeah, I was about to say, well, that's like the big talk because it comes to the balancing of characters, and it's like, so if a character is good for 5 years, should they be should they be bad now in this next upcoming patch? And like, the philosophy behind that.
I think what matters more as a developer is you should worry about the overall perception of the character. Like, do people enjoy this character? Do people, and then also for like the esports side of it, does it get people excited, right? Like if I pick Ivern and everyone gets excited, I feel like I should just buff him because everyone likes to see him because he's just like a goofy ass character.
Yeah,
right?
But I think people more cheer because like he hasn't been picked, right? Like he's a kid
but
that's never going to be played. Not specifically because it's Ivern, but because of his status of not being.
Yeah, I'm just giving an example. Like if people like him because he's goofy, then like why not play into it and make him stronger? I'm not opposed to that because it's a business at the end of the day. But as far as like letting people dictate the meta, I don't even think that's a good thing either because At the end of the day, I think it's the developers. It's the developers like it's their rodeo. If they want to do it, like whatever. I just don't have to play the game because there's been tons of communities who have made dog shit, boring ass metas to both play in and to watch. So to say like the players know best, they fucking don't, and I don't even think the developers know best. But at the end of the day, it's their fucking game.
I think it's just like when I meant like by the player base, right? Because you look back at old games before the word meta was like really a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like on certain maps in Call of Duty, and I keep using Call of Duty as an example because I played a lot of it growing up, right? There were certain maps that you knew tube spawns, spawn kills right off rip, right? For both search and TDM, right? Like you just knew at this angle you could fucking pre-grenade an area and get kills. So like that was meta at some point on certain maps, right? Or running an MP5 SD on certain maps. You get my point, right?
Yeah.
It's just like that became the norm because like other guns were worse, right? So it always just developed on its own as to what was competitively best, right? But I think with these hero shooter games, right, like Overwatch, like Apex, stuff like that,
a lot
right?
of the games now are like hero games, right? Even MOBAs are completely based on the heroes.
I kind of subscribe to the idea that like with Sojourn's issue, right? She's overly stronger than all of the other DPS in the cast, right?
Yeah.
If everyone had something to their kit that was overpowered, right? And every character had to play to their strength, right? Rather than this whole just power creep issue that we're seeing in games. I would rather it be that every character is broken in some way rather than it be, okay, we got to nerf this down and bring this one up and then now they're broken, but they're shit now. Like, I'd rather it just like keep Sojourn there and bring everybody else up to her level.
But I think that's just like a flawed way to look at it as well. Because here's the thing. There's always going to be a high tier and there's always going to be a low tier. And there's always going to be people who fall in the middle. There's no way to make the system perfect because you would lose character identity. Because the only way to make it balanced in that way is to determine cooldown, damage, and all that, and like charge rate, so to speak. And you align all those together, and now every character is the same. And now they're all just as broken as Sojourn, but now none of them are different.
But that's kind of what I was saying. Why I think Sojourn's a funny issue, right? Because Sojourn's only like an actual issue at high rank, right? Because of player skill. So really, player skill is the issue. The character itself has a strong kit, I agree, but in lower ranks, they get fucking dunked on. I've seen it. I've watched it. I've dunked on them.
Now the conversation's changing into like, do you balance top to bottom, bottom to top, or like, look for somewhere in the middle? Like the conversation's changing now when you bring up that point, because my biggest thing with like Sojourn specifically is that she has no negatives to her kit. There's no downside to her play, where it's like, Reaper, he doesn't have like compared to someone like Reaper, who's still a high pick right now, but Reaper, he's not a long shot, right? He has his get out of jail free card, and he's a shotgun, so he's he pressures the front and all that. Whereas Sojourn, she does it all.
Well, yeah, here's the thing though. I think that I don't think you balance anything top to bottom or bottom to top, because that's also just a flawed way to look at it. You balance outliers, right?
I think you do what you want because you're the developer and it's your game.
Right, but I'm saying I think the proper way to do it, if we're talking about how you would balance it, is to just fix outliers. You know what I mean? If a character has a strong push behind them and they're OP for 4 seasons in a row, okay, everyone likes this motherfucker. Everyone's playing him because they like playing him. But if people have a boring ass character like old school Symmetra, like a lot of people hated and didn't play her, and she sits at the bottom of your like range, then I wouldn't really care. I'd be like, okay, like cool, she's a bottom tier character.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what I'm saying, right? So I would like the argument that you made where you're saying if you bring everybody's power level up to where Sojourn is, then nobody's different, right? I'm saying each character be broken in their own individual way, right? Like something a part of their kit is broken, right? I had no problem with McCree Flashbang, right? But they changed that shit to a magnet grenade that I actually hate worse, right? Like that
I'm in
if the
disagreement.
character, I know you disagree with me on that, but like
I definitely
if the
disagree.
if the characters are broken in their own individual ways, right, then like the balance isn't important because they all excel at one thing, right, in their own different way.
Yeah, like
But that's just not
the
true.
character
Because hold
identity
on,
is like
what?
your. Oh, go ahead,
what
Jared.
I mean, besides that, it's not that they all excel at one thing, though. That's where this is different. They all have one extremely OP thing, and then some of them have nothing else. Some of them have a lot of other
Well,
things, and then
I'm
some of them
saying,
have like one or two things.
but
So
that's what I'm
you
saying is like
still have.
if I'm not saying like, okay, if they had one broken thing, but you know, dumbass's gun still sucks dick, right? Like obviously there's still gonna have to be some tuning, right? But what I'm saying is like the damage numbers don't have to be exact to make them the exact same character, right? Like I'm not saying
Mhm.
that. I'm saying that if they all individually had something that was busted, kind of like ults, but not, right? Because her railgun's not a fucking ult, but it feels like one when
Well,
she goddamn
what's
uses
funny
it.
is, in a way, with her character specifically, her railgun is actually the ult
It is
because
a role.
her ult is the
Yeah.
one that charges to full
Right. Is it
nonstop.
just charge she just gets multiple shots back to
So
back to just
essentially,
kill
like
your
her right
entire
click is
team.
an ult, which they recognize
Yeah.
because they made that her ult to charge it
And
max.
so that's why I brought up the McCree flashbang thing, right? Because the flashbang to me, right, was like there were times that people missed that shit, right? There was a little bit of skill involved. Was there a lot though? From like point blank? No, absolutely not. But like if you were point blank against McCree and you got flashbang, that was what you fucking got, right? But like it didn't feel busted. I wasn't getting magnetized by a grenade around corners, right? Like there was good outplay with it and it was strong,
Mhm.
you know. So like I didn't see why they made that change because like you could sit there and try to flash a Genji and there's a chance that that shit didn't work, or a tracer, same shit, right? But like the magnet grenade, you just throw it in the general location within range and it's like attach and you're just dead, you know.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, I don't want to go too far on the tangent of like the whole magnet grenade thing,
no, I know, I'm
but
just
I still don't see where like that system, what you're saying, balances anything in any way,
I
shape, or form. Like,
I don't think it
if
needs
everyone
to.
has something OP in their own regard, like, so what? May's right click
Well,
headshots everyone, and then Anna's grenade lasts for
well,
fucking
I
20
think
seconds. It's still just, it still has creep the same way
well,
everything else
I
does.
think
It's just a new form
I
of
think
it.
it sounds more of like the whole like the Incredibles story, right? Where it's like if everyone has superpowers, then no one's super. Like I feel like
Right.
that's what Sean's talking about here. Not like
Oh, I follow it.
jacking them up and all that stuff. So I'm actually more interested in
No,
like
no.
what your theory is, Jared. I'll like explaining it deeper on like what you're saying.
Yeah. So, well, just to like, I understand what Sean's getting at, but what I'm saying is that that ideology doesn't really work. Like, it doesn't do anything. It's the same shit. It's just now that everyone has some random dumb fuck ability, but they're still low tier characters. They're still high tier characters. All I'm saying is that balancing in games is so like it's so fickle because it's never going to be balanced. You're never going to have a cast of characters that does this. It's literally impossible, especially with what they're trying to accomplish. You know, you want every character to be different. You want them to play uniquely. There's going to be ebb and flow of who's good and who's bad. And as you tune it, it's going to start flipping, and some people are going to be bad some seasons, people are going to be good some seasons. It may be because the maps they're on, it may be because the player base is playing them into certain comms, because this character's good now, and so this one's bad. So all I'm saying is, I think it just comes out to outliers. And I think Sojourn to me is an outlier. Having a character who can take control of games. I know you said like the lower rank she doesn't matter too much, but I think she's one of the easiest characters to carry on because she can solo get rid of priority targets without any downside, and without using anything. She doesn't lose anything from right clicking. There's not
Yeah.
like, oh, Sojourn used her ult, hop in there. It's legit like, well, I got right clicked. So I don't think there's a way to balance it in that way. Like, does she need to be nerfed? I absolutely think so. But do I think there's ever going to be a line of like, oh, everyone is in
So
tune perfectly? No.
so then where's the baseline that you are basing, you know, the outliers on then? Because like I said, you said you don't agree with the whole top to bottom and the bottom to top. So where would you look for that then? Because that's
I think
usually
that's a
the discussion is, you know, people say you should level from the top players down or the bottom players up, right? Like the casual players, let them have fun, or the pro players, let them have
Mhm.
fun. Different thing. Like, so where's your baseline for that?
I think the baseline is more complex than just saying like it's one stat. I think the baseline has more to do with her role as a DPS. Her role as a DPS is like the hit scan style, right? She obviously offers more than that because she's a little different than Soldier, but that's generally like
I was
where
gonna
she fits
say
into it.
like everything that I've seen on her, she's designed around being a pick character. Like Hanzo, like Widow, she's supposed to be a pick character, not hit scan. Her whole entire kit was designed around being a pick character.
Okay, so at that point, she offers 90% more pressure than every other pick character in the game.
I agree with that.
So that's the thing is she fits two character molds at the same time. Therefore, they need to pick which ideology they're going to follow with her. Is she going to be a pick character, or is she going to follow the more hit scan route and have that pick as like, you know, like a ult that allows you to do that?
I'm just
I think that's where it comes
I'm
down.
just gonna
That's where
keep
the
being
outlier
devil's
is.
advocate to keep picking your guys' brain on it. But like,
I,
what if that is the identity of your character? Because like, I think the identity of your character with the whole, the left click into the right click, the sliding and all that, the character overall is a really fun and feels really good to play.
Yeah, I agree.
So like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not just that she has to be this one or this one. It's like she can be this one. So like, you know,
Well, she just shouldn't be better than every other pick character and be better than every other hit scan character at the same time.
mhm.
Like,
so
why would I ever run Soldier if I can run Sojourn and I can get picks? And then, like, why
so
would I run Widow if I can pressure like Soldier and get picks? It just feels like she's not in the middle. It just feels like she excels at both
Mm.
too well. Like, right, she's like probably gets more picks on average than Widow or whatever, while simultaneously doing more damage than Soldier. And it's like that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That doesn't that's where the imbalance is to me.
What's up, Sean?
it just makes me think of like Moira, right? Because Moira excels at doing damage and she excels at healing.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something
And you're
different.
and it's that transfer back and forth between the two, like you were saying, between feeling like a projectile character and then a hit scan sniper, right? Like it's that weird ebb and flow that I agree with Chris does give her character identity, right? Just like Moira's is you go from
Well,
dealing damage to
Moira
heal
has
more,
Moira's the only
healing to
support
deal
that has no
damage.
utility for her team, right? Her utility is doing
Right,
Yeah,
damage.
right.
none.
So, but then also Moira has a downside. If she heals too much without weaving, she just can't
Right.
heal effectively. So that's where like she fits better, and I can
So-
see her
so-
fitting in that archetype of hitting two areas, but
It,
she
if
has
you-
downside. You know?
the thing with Sojourn too, though, is like, okay, if you're not getting picks with her, if you're not hitting your railgun shots, right, you're not offering shit to the team.
Yeah, so
Like your primary fire does not do as much damage as Soldiers, right? The other hit scans, she's not as accurate in air, shooting targets in air, right, than
Mhm.
say McCree or Soldier, right? So if you're not getting picks off on Sojourn, you're not doing your job with the character.
so I'm actually glad
I
you.
think she still applies
Yeah.
pressure.
So I think
So-
you actually. I'm glad you brought up Moira because these two characters are actually like in the dynamic of Overwatch and competitive play. These two are on the exact opposite end, where Sojourn is shit at the bottom ranks, but the number one pick at the top ranks. Moira
Yep.
is not picked at all at top ranks and is one of the number one picks at the bottom ranks because she's running through people in the bottom ranks. So it's like
Right.
this comes back to the talk of competitive now, not just balancing the character on just their abilities, but like the skill of the player now, right? Like taking that into account.
Right.
So like that's why the conversation always comes back to the bottom to top and top to bottom.
And that's what I was saying earlier was that like I feel like the issue with Sojourn is player skill.
I'm saying so,
Player
I
skill
still
is
feel
so
like she
high at the high
applies-
end that she's
I-
oppressive.
I still feel like she applies so much pressure, even if she's missing. Like if she's not getting headshots with a right click, her E and her right click just hitting people in the body still applies a fuck
Well,
ton of
I think
pressure.
everyone's in agreement.
She
like,
does a lot of damage.
Players with even
Like,
skill usually like the soldier one will win out, right? So I'm interested in like what you think then, Sean. Like with your thought process on that of like player skill. Like, so do you think Sojourn shouldn't be touched because like in the ranks we're playing in, they're really not that great, right?
Yeah, I mean, like literally, they get dunked on by like Anna's point blank. I've done it.
So
You've done it. We've all done it. You know, we've all sat there and outplayed these Sojourns in our ranks. I haven't seen anything super crazy that we've come across that I've been like, oh man, that I cannot believe that happened. But the thing is that like that tier above, those tiers above where we're at, I mean, I've seen it in Overwatch League. The thing is I feel like they didn't nerf her right off bat because of Overwatch League. Because when you see the two Sojourns on the team pop ult and go at it, and they just, you know, dumpster an entire team like Reaper does with his ult sometimes, you know, if somebody lands a good Reaper ult, you see him kill an entire team. It's a pop off moment and it's flashy, right? And people realize that watching the streams, and I think that that's why she didn't get nerfed off bat, because it is exciting when you're watching people of very high skill playing the same character go at it, you know, popping domes with a character that's high, fast, high mobility.
I think it's fair to say too
know.
that they're playing a completely different game than even top 500 players are playing.
Oh, absolutely. Like the teamwork and the way that they move around the map is entirely different. The speed at which they play is entirely different. I never think you balance in a game where the vast majority of the population is not pro players, right? And not people that are in the top 500, because there's only 500 fucking people in the top 500, right? You have how many players did they have? They announced it recently. It was like 28 million or something like
20
that.
million or something like that. Like that.
Yeah, some 20 million users. So we're gonna balance around 500 people plus whatever teams is 6, right? Because they have one sub or some shit. We're gonna balance the entire game around that, or are we gonna balance it around the player base? You know, I mean, I think you'd have to look at the population of the game entirely, where everybody's sitting rank wise, and where she's actually a problem.
But she still has her and Genji have the 2 highest win rates on DPS. So she's still, regardless of what you're saying, she legitimately has. Her and Genji have the highest win rates on DPS.
You know that for certain at the low ranks?
At the low rank, across ranks as a whole.
That's what I'm saying is what is the win rate for bronze through gold?
So
if you say ranks as a whole, those account for the largest percentage. You get what I'm saying? Like those are the biggest percentages. Yeah. So as a whole, her win rate is over 52%, which is higher than everyone besides Genji, who is also at over 52%, which means she is strong in every rank.
Okay. So that being said, right, she's being played a lot, so is Genji, right? Mm-hmm. They're being played a lot. So other characters' win rates are not going to be as high because they're not being played nearly as much either.
Assumption.
So that's going to affect... Assumption, my ass.
Assumption.
How is that an assumption?
What's your empirical data here, bro? I don't know
what's your empirical data.
I just dropped stats on you that it's over 52%.
You said their win rate, right? And they're getting
Sean may not have the
every
percentages,
rank.
but I'm pretty sure when I look, Genji and Sojourn are actually like some of the most popular picks.
I'm sure they are. I'm more kidding, dude. I'm pretty sure they are.
It's like Genji's probably one of the number 1 picks in the game. Like he's just a loved character.
So you should discount the fact that she's over 52% because she's played the most, but isn't that indicative that it has the largest sample size? Like at the same time, it's pretty indicative of where the character's at.
I think the 52% win rate on either character, right? I don't see the problem with that. It is still it is the closest to a flip of a coin that you could have.
No, it's not. The closest you got to flip to a coin is 50%.
Okay, it's same, but that's what I'm saying. It's not like across all ranks she's got a 96% win rate.
Right,
you know, it's not an auto win.
If every other character sits closer to 50, like every character is 50, 49,
I think
or like in that.
Most interesting thing right now is like
we
all 3 have different point of views on it. Because I'm actually I'm in disagreement with you guys. Like I used to say not like balance for the top percentage. But the more I think about like competitive play in and of itself, it's like, well, if your game's supposed to be competitive, right? Like that's your whole ideology behind it. Like yes, you have fun game modes and stuff like that, but your whole idea behind the game originally and like your philosophy with it is for it to be competitive. So I actually think you do balance from the top to the top down, where the casual players.
I mean, yeah, you do that, and then you just don't have people playing your game because no one wants to play.
Well, I mean, you can say that, but I don't think the data really supports that. Like I want to, because I'd love to see any competitive game that actually like. I mean, I don't say they balance them properly, but
I
like what
was
actually dies when they balance the game based on that. Because if you're looking at someone who doesn't know how to play the game, how do you balance that? They don't know how to use the ability. They don't know the the
Oh, of
extent of the
course.
ability and like what can possibly be done with it. So how do you balance for them when they can't even play the game properly to begin with?
I think you balance from the average, from the middle. That's what I think.
So
I think you balance from the
why would
average
you
player.
balance for the average player if your game is supposed to be competitive?
I think that so when you have a competitive mode, right? Like Overwatch does, you also have the opposite side of that, which is arcade and unranked, right? You would have to see the data as to how many people are participating in ranked, right? And how many people are just playing the game to play the game to enjoy it,
Right.
right? And I think that this can get broken down in every genre of video game that way, right? To where shooters are going to be balanced differently. I don't disagree with balancing from top down, right? But I think that you still have to balance for that average player that's only getting on and playing for a couple of hours, maybe. Because those are the people that are buying in-game skins every once in a while. Those are the people that are returning to play
Those
the
are
game
your
casually,
majority.
right?
Those are your majority.
Right.
Yeah, no.
That
Like I said,
that getting
I was
on
on that
and
side before too, but my idea has kind of
But
changed with it. So
but I think there's ways for you to balance things while not affecting this group of majority. You can
mhm.
still adjust things at the top level, and it does not affect the majority of the player base because it's not anything they can run into. It's no different than when Sean was like, I keep getting spawn peaked in rainbow by these bullet holes that are this big. Like, no, you're not, bro. Because here's the thing: the fucking highest level of the game, they're doing that shit. These fucking gold players aren't, right? So at the end of the day, if you change it at the highest
my
level,
kill cam says
sometimes
otherwise.
it doesn't trickle down. That effect
Mhm.
doesn't trickle down the same because it doesn't affect their gameplay because it is a different game. But at the same time, there are certain quality of life changes where you have to say, yeah, fuck the top percent, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
majority needs this, right?
Mhm.
And that's kind of how I see it. Like there are certain situations where the top percent's unaffected, and when the top percentage has to be affected, because the majority is just a balance and a medium, but like it has to be a happy balance between the
Mhm.
two.
So when we think back to like the early days of League, right? When League was finally building its competitive scene, the one thing that I miss about those early days, right, was when somebody would lock in a pick in League, right? That you were like, holy crap! Like I didn't even think he was gonna break that character out, right? Like, oh my god, they're playing Teemo top,
Yeah, it's like what Jared was talking about the whole
right?
Ivan situation. Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
you would see these dudes that were, it was like all the time when Bjergsen would, bust out Zillion, right? Because everybody knew his Zillion needed to be respected because he would dumpster kids with it,
Mhm.
right? Like I miss that instead of having like you see it in the Overwatch League now because I told you guys I spent some time watching it where it's literally just mirror comp.
Yeah. No, I mean I.
If somebody switches off to Genji and goes to
Oh, okay.
Tracer, the other team
So
does
when
the same
okay,
thing.
I should make that like said. When I say from the top to the bottom, I'm not talking about the pros because the pros play a completely different game than people that play in ranked. I'm talking about
Of
like
Right,
the
course.
top
right.
players in
No,
ranked because
I kind of figured that, but what I'm saying is like I miss the days where you would see different team comps,
mhm.
right? Where it was a different entire strategy of the team. Like we could sit down and play just the meta characters of what is popping right now, and then just go on a win streak if we really wanted to. But you change it up to play the damn game to play the game,
Mhm.
right? And then you see those one tricks and those people that specialize in those characters that have so many thousands of hours on them, right? And they're gods at it, and they can play them into whatever comp, right? That's the type of stuff that like I miss seeing in competitive video games.
Well,
I hate seeing all of these mirrored comps, these mirrored teams.
I actually
It's
so I agree with you
frustrating to
completely
me.
because I think that's more of like I think that's more the players to do it though because I feel like the mindset that is coming into fruition now is like this is the set thing and this is how the game is played until you have the people that like come for even before balance patches are hit and like change how the game is played. Like
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree with you there. I don't think that and I don't necessarily believe like what I'm saying what's it called? We'll keep people playing the same exact meta and waiting for balance patches. I think it's just it's dependent on those players to like use their heads and take charge to change the game instead of just playing the game. Like you own the game instead of the game owning you is essentially how it is right now. So I think that's a player philosophy that needs to be fixed more than just the game itself. Because I think we're all in the same mindset.
It's a big thing in gaming culture right now for everyone to want the game to adapt to the way they want it to instead of just adjusting to it. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Sojourn should get nerfed right now. But when that bitch's railgun turns blue, I'm starting to hide, right? I'm not gonna fucking run out in the open and be like, oh my god, why is she OP? I'm gonna be like, all right, I am definitely running away from this bitch. I am hiding,
Right.
So, whereas people are always under the ideology of like, she shouldn't be able to do that, so I'm just gonna run into it every time.
So
I'm gonna always run this comp to counter it. Like,
so I think that's the funny part with her railgun too, is the fact that people don't treat it like Widowmaker.
Yeah,
people will straight up
honestly,
just step.
Not at our ranks for sure.
Yeah. I've literally watched people like I'll say it in solo queue all the time. Like her railgun, like she's got railgun. Right?
That's a call out that you call now.
And I'll watch McCree just walk out into the open and be like, yeah, howdy, and just get domed, like, and I'm like, I told you she had railgun. He's like, well, I could have outshot her. I'm like, well, you didn't, so you're dead. Like,
it's like
I don't know what to tell you.
With Keenan all the time. He'll be like, oh, how did I die? And you're like, what do you mean, how did you die? They have a Widowmaker, they have railgun, and there's the Hanzo shooting at you, and there's a Kiriko. Of course you got headshot. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like that, and like, love you, Keenan. You're probably not going to watch this, you little bitch, but,
yo, honestly, nobody say anything to Keenan at all. Because we're gonna start wrapping it up right now.
Keenan, he better pop into Discord and say something.
If you watch this within 24 hours of this episode releasing on Thursday afternoon at noon, within 24 hours, I will Apple pay you $100.
Okay, we're gonna cut it off here
but
too.
No one can help.
Yeah, we're gonna end the podcast here, and like, if Keenan's one of those people that also just skips to the end of the podcast, he'll still catch it. So.
Right.
We're going to see what he does.
So
that means he at least clicked on it.
No exterior, hey, Keenan, you should watch this. I will dead ass do it. I'll post the fucking receipts on Twitter. I will do it. But I almost want to say like 1,000 because I know he's not going to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
it ain't going to happen within the first 24 hours.
Right. No, it's not going to happen in the first fucking 72. Let alone, I could say a week, whatever the fuck that comes out to, right? And it's not going to happen. I'm pretty confident in that.
I think that's good to call it on that to see if he does it.
You know what? We'll end it there. So, hey, put in the comments. Like I said, we're actually below the threshold. Sean only had a total of 3 tech issues.
That's true.
So,
we were talking about
dude, I don't know what was up with it.
If you bet on the under, congrats, you won. And Keenan, you're not going to watch the episode, so you're not getting $100.
Come on, Keenan, do better. Come on, Keenan.
Other than that, thank you guys for watching episode 12, and we'll see you
guys
later, guys.